Chill here with Sirius Stellus Moon. And I'm watching Ichi Boots because I've been talking about something motorcycles when Uranus just turned into just ingressed into Gemini and I was on the money. But first of all, I want to talk about Saturn Neptune because Saturn Neptune at the end of Pisces is, and also in the meeting in Aries, is about finding people that were missing or anything that was missing for a long time, um, or closing cases of people that were missing for a very long time. If there are, unfortunately, if there are new missing cases, those that are not immediately found um, are going to be missing for quite a while. So that is the thing with Saturn Neptune. Saturn is something that takes time. Now, I said something when I talked about the lunation, which had to do with cold cases regarding sexual sovereignty. So, a couple of things. One, yes, this is Ichi Boots traveling her motorcycle in Afghanistan. She's a fucking hero. Um, 60 Minutes has an interview with a lady that exposes Epstein and the part of the list. And the day after, I think she was assassinated. So this is coming up. The Rolodex and the True Rolodex have been reopened in the media. Those are mostly like Dutch stuff, and yes, they involved Dutch opposition and NATO. um, Also called Case Deming, and there's a Dutch lady that testified. This is really involving like the everyoneness around, um, at least in Netherlands, but also outside. So this was, and Trudy talked about the ritual abuse done to the children that are born as clones and re-exposed the person that kidnapped her children and violated Hippocratic oath. I don't know if he violated Hippocratic oath or the people that basically did not disobey legal order to take her children violated Hippocratic oath. Um, so wow, it's just like, and I'm trying to see the chart. And I don't know what chart it is right now. I know the moon is going from the last decan of Gemini to Cancer, to the first decan of Cancer. And now, as per Ruta and Wilders, they have Chiron and Aries on their moon, which is a big deal because it's both the cloning project and Chiron is a wound around that, basically the wound that, you know, got to the point of them being mentioned in the Rolodex. I think it's the Rolodex, like I don't know what, because it's in Dutch. Now I mentioned my wounds around language acquisition, but here is the thing. Um, this is a Saturn return for the Rolodex, for the Trolodex, the Trolodex, something. Definitely the Mark du Sears. And this is second Saturn return for Mark Rutte. I don't know the other charts. Ooh, Uranus is go over the midheaven of Mark. Yeah, and but this is Jupiter return for Makrote, which means that first of all, it's going to be at the node of the back and forth of a year of Jupiter. Yes, because they use it for as extortion called for wealth consolidation. This means that those things are also used during peace talks. And that's not surprising because Jupiter is sextiling Black Moon Lilith and is, I'm sorry, trining Black Moon Lilith that trines Saturn. So this grand trine is basically bringing up everything around the wealth consolidation around natural resources, which undergovern war and peace. And for Rute, it's kind of like a bittersweet Jupiter return. Jupiter return is usually very benefic, but it is both the understanding of the things that he may have been involved in. I think saying allegedly is kind of like not saying genocide for 2 years since 7th October. Now, however, um, however, it is being exposed right with the wounds that turn that basically turn people to offenders. So that's something I have been tending to since I think 2003, 2017, but then I didn't know, not know. And since at least 2023 and 2024, particularly after listening to Annika Lucas' podcast in Alandra, and I was like, okay, those things definitely need to be resolved not to the hands of extortion cults. And for that, we would need to both set a clear boundary that those type of crimes cannot continue, and at the same time, the reason why do people do these horrid things is also being exposed. Now, that's absolutely not the best Jupiter returns of in the world. However, it is with Procyon, and Procyon is about, Procyon is about looking inwards and seeing what has been such that needs to change and reform so that the outside conditions can be removed. So for those in like Ruth's placement, it is about, well, that needs to be um, the cloning project and the horrid ritual abuse that's done on people that are later our leaders needs to be stopped. For the survivors, victims, um, then it means that those rituals basically um, are also done on those leaders, and the actual thing is wealth consolidation on natural resources. So it is kind of a very deep, powerful, uncompromising look into the truth. And Jupiter does talk about the truth. We'll see it in its retrograde phase. Because it's not, off with their heads is an Alice in Wonderland programming phase. It actually works to the hands of extortion cults. And the core issue is the wealth consolidation and the fact that people are born, inbred, and tortured horrifically to stand in those positions that later everybody loves to hate. So this is and this is where we come to an uncompromising position regarding boundaries need to be set, those things cannot continue anymore, and play into the hands of extortion cults. We're just talking about the visible names where when the people are tortured, they basically have not only deed, but also entity entities and mind control, and it's infused with dark occultism, um, and that it's very difficult to talk about accountability when in that. Okay, um, and calling those who testified, trying to almost each and every one of them had an episode with 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 somebody that violated Hippocratic oath, because when it comes to schizophrenia, or psychosis, it is about housing first, or independent of ability to work for unlimited time, and to believe the patient, and of course to stop the attacks on them. That cured psychosis when Finland had to deal with Putin. I'm sorry, not with Putin, with Russia, even with Soviet Russia. Then it would adopt this treatment of psychosis rather than castration and torture, uh, for intelligence purposes. That's how they got to know what the KGB was up to. Okay, so no longer can psychiatry be used, to silence witnesses under the guise of psychiatric tagging. That is a violation of Hippocratic oath. That is also a crime against humanity. At the same time, those in the Epstein lists and the Dutroux list, and the Rolodex list are those children that were violated to extinction and then mind controlled, and okay, the only ones that somehow managed to get out were the people that really consistently turned against and rebelled very consistently, like Annika Lucas, Lars Royman, and this lady that testified, this Dutch lady that testified, and also the lady that testified against Epstein. All of them were consistently rebelling. The folks that you see with the scar on their throat, those are the folks that within told the secret, and that's okay. They were warned, sozusagen, and some of them are leaders. So this is something that, would have a death oath within those societies, and that all is owned. Those secret societies are owned by those who do wealth consolidation on natural resources, rare minerals, gas, oil, as real estate, and borders don't play much in that. Okay, they don't really, genocide this, democide that, false flag here, economic hitman there, and um, that is happening during Jupiter Procyon, when Jupiter is about to go retrograde and Saturn is about to go direct, and later Neptune. So there's a lot about this conversation. Um, my research has been discussing the body-mind question and acknowledging the fact that prolonged trauma makes people more susceptible to mind control and to the psychic abilities, basically, that are developed in that case through trauma. Is not correct to develop psychic abilities through trauma. One needs to ground themselves and so on. And that is also inspired by the way they train shamans and healers in indigenous societies. Okay, it's as old as Sedna. Um, so this is, megalithic rabbit hole, sozusagen. Um, and it's a culmination point. Now I don't know what's the moon been doing, because it has been sextiling Chiron and Aries. That's what's up. Sextiling Chiron and Aries. And we had the full moon in Taurus. And we have the grand trine with Black Moon, Lilith, Jupiter, and Saturn. And it's a water grand trine. Good morning! Sol in Scorpio, Venus releasing from the square to Pluto. That's it. It's this crisis of information being revealed. And yes, the moon ingressed into Cancer, moon hour. And the moon is releasing from the square to Saturn, Neptune, trining Venus. Mars at 2 degrees Sagittarius, Mercury on Maketu. Look at this ascendant on my Rahu. Look at it! Uranus ingressed into Taurus! It's 2 meters from Mark Rutte's midheaven and another person's midheaven. I'm not gonna say it out loud. And of course it is, yes, everything is fine. The traditional mother entering the room when I talk about Nato Rute. Baden Rute Gates, this is the jab! And and this will also go over the Venus of Melania Trump. Uranus has ingressed into Taurus in its retrograde motion. No wonder I've been watching Ichi Boots. Ichi Boots began her traveling podcast in 2018. So it's kind of like a closure. So, oh yeah. Uranus is opposing by sign Black Moon Lilith. This is going to be 1 Uranus retrograde. It's gonna go all the way to 27 degrees, which is going to touch the sun of Israel. Ooh la la. And then go back to Gemini. Safer. My God. Now, it's not a secret that when I was in academia, there was a human trafficking ring in Ben Gurion University. And politics and governance, but it's global in academia. Chiron's 23 degrees. It's the moon of Mark Rutte. I cannot make this up. And oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, and this Saturn is next to my ascendant. That's why I'm the one speaking about that. Oh. Oh. Look at this lot of fortune on speaker. What's up with NATO? Oh my God. NATO news. Now, I never talked about that. What is that? News. What the heck? NATO news. No NATO news. NATO news. Thank you. No, what was that? When I just did chart of Mark Rutte, it was after I shared the screenshot. I talked about the famous screenshot. Trudy shared it again. Now, some people say that it's not Marc Dutroux in that picture. I don't know, like, I'm not. But here is the thing that sparked a conversation. And then I did Mark Rutte's chart, and I saw the energy seen for the time when I was in I wasn't in hospital. My grandmother was in hospital. And I was just a child walking around hospital when we visit my grandmother. And and basically I began to see the time where the part of the family that saved me from being kidnapped by that doctor. And because the doctor tried to kidnap me, and a part of the family. Now, I don't know if that part of the family had to do with secret society or not, but that's something that I saw when I did Mark Rutte's chart. And then I was sitting next to it was in Arad. I was sitting next to the water. I have this water fountain. I saw a child, and the energy was very difficult for me to deal with. It was coming from my 12th house, kind of showing me the child that would later be. And this was my experience. And so I was like really, really trying to listen and to understand what was being shown to me, because that has something to do with what I had undergone in ways I still don't understand fully. Um, but that was part of that story. And yes, that's what's coming up for me right now. Um, and then my coping mechanism during the rest of 7th October would be to cover NATO. Um, Now, there probably is going to be a war because nuclear drills showed alliance has strong deterrent. Um, that thing radiates. uh, NATO will stand with Ukraine. NATO aligned military group partners with Ukraine. Ukraine faces forever war. Now again, they're trying to push probably to a war because they want the war to be like diversion tactic. But I don't think it's gonna work. um, and B, um, there is a strong push to talk about what creates those extortion calls and the offenders. NATO downplays U.S. troop drone. This is 2-3 days ago. Okay, I haven't seen all the briefings and such. Um, Now, when it came to the Epstein, there were also professors involved, and I can attest. I know because I didn't want to cooperate with that thing. There was a big desire to put me in the United States. At first as academic, and then I don't know, but I was, yeah, and because my research was on the body-mind questions in the medicine, fractions of a millisecond before COVID. Um, yeah, tending to it. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Recording. Um, there was the question about AI, and this is showing how the nervous system can create offenders using nervous system hacking and dark occult and perpetual trauma. And to stop that, we would need to acknowledge that. Um, I'm not going to talk about the things that I have undergone and many attempts on me and so on. Um, and this is beyond, you know. But I was not going with all the solutions that were not tending to the problem. And then it exposed through Anneke Lucas that it's wealth consolidation of natural resources and creation of basically enslaved race or enslaved humanity. Um, and to tend to that, we have to acknowledge that. And we have to bring the things that are supportive of our nervous system and of the behaviors that we do want to see. Because those, a part of what the MK Ultra also will do in the cloning project was eradicating behavior that is not completely sociopathic, so, evil. Okay, and they needed the masquerade of kindness. And it's not a masquerade; it's actually they needed the split. What people call Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They needed that split in the nervous system to apply to the masses. Kind of like to fool the masses, but it's an authentic split. And um, and we need to understand that that's what our leaders go through, and that's what they want to put humanity through. That was the Holocaust. Okay, and to shift that timeline, we have to acknowledge that. So it's done to soldiers, then it's done to people. It's done to cloning projects, it's done to soldiers, then it's done to people. And that is, oh, come on. Yeah, that was I think it was this one. This one. This is Mariette Grotov. Grotov. She was abused as a baby by her mom and the network, the Satanic Pedo Network. And she said it was royalty, bankers, WHO, WEF, VN, I don't know what's VN, Bilderberg and Bilzen. AI this is intelligence, I think. I don't know what is all of those things. The PAUS, the royalty, yes, Maraken, Dixhoff. um, but this is being on the trajectory of how they create, okay, those people, and yes, Oakfelders. Deming, they also mentioned Deming. And this is news on they talk about Israeli intelligence. They talk about Zionism, but it's basically those behind the Israeli intelligence, I guess. So this is in the Netherlands. I don't have Twitter. News, Nieuwe Media NL. So this one. This is megalithic. It's megalithic, and you know, certain people even offered like big mansions and stuff like that. But for me, it's kind of like to have trust. I need for those things to not be, and to get to the core of the issue. This is why I didn't go with like the off with their heads or the litigations or the shame and blame. It's like, okay, what is if this was a mathematical problem, what would be the solution? And that is being aware of the importance of upbringing and having the support to our nervous system to knowing, even when it comes to I think I talked about the schizophrenia, which is to believe the patient housing first, and that was how Finland tackled it when they needed to defend their country. And they also had to work with the Nazis. And there was a lady that literally openly talked about that, a Finnish content creator, and talked about the joining of Finland to NATO and how the attacking of Ukraine made Finland join NATO. And she did mention that they had to work with the Nazis. Now, here's the thing. The Nazi occultism is associated with MKUltra. It's done to soldiers, and Gladio was kind of like in the background of the foundation of NATO. So yeah, Nessa Tamirsi and Missy. I don't know who are these people. Yes, onze dossiers. So this is the news, media NL. That's how I learned Dutch, because it tends to wound around my language acquisition. I don't know why they quote God. I mean, under the guise of God, they also abuse people, so. Yeah. Rolodex. Well, Rolodex. And only now I can, when I see this, I see truth, and then I can read Dutch. I don't know who are all these people. Anyway. Ah! Mark and his whole. Oh my god! Oh my god. um, yes. Wait a second. Because this was 18 and 90s. That's when there was attempt to kidnap me at that hospital. I was a child. The hospital was in Israel. Or MK Ultra. Micha Kat, I know that he covered that. This sign, yes, this is, I think, associated with the Illuminati. Now, you know, they keep saying that Mark Rutte is son of Deming and grandson of Bernhard. They don't look at all like one another. They don't look like one another at all. Black Pill Journal. Yes, but this is double. This is a person is double. I'm not saying that he's double, but the active nervous system. To Trolodex land. Hey, to Trolodex is mine. Pedocrates is Rudi. Oh gosh. What? What is that? I don't know if I want to know. Dictatorship is not good. Dictatorship, people get assassinated. I don't know. Arnhem. Oi. PFDA, the exiled Toby. There was elections recently. Balenciaga. What is that? Look in the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. Executive order of Trump. December. That's when they broke into Mar-a-Lago. What? Now the thing is that what we need to understand that those who are acquainted with the prison cell experiment, that's pretty much a part of the environment that these people grow into, and now they're doing it like on society. But what is needed is to break out of the prison, break out of the ghetto. Because they just do it to not get tortured. They tortured also by no-touch torture. Okay, so cafe. That's the one that I think the Dutch lady, testified. Well, yeah. So when we understand that there is both a frequency of the visible and detectable, and frequency that the technology to detect it is not disclosed always. Um, yes, this is. But where is the testimony of the lady? Because it was here. Anyway. Um, and they do this also, of course, to therapists and so on. So it's funded by classified projects. And then the job of the decision makers is to funnel resources and to kind of entrap the science and the sciences, which also means the jurisdiction, the government, and so on. And occultistically or spiritually, they feed on life. Because this is what I know. And knowing the truth, okay, knowing the solutions, knowing that those practices are antithetical to wealth. And I had an episode that I talked about it. Made heaven. Going on Dena Balgidi. Uranus is in Taurus. This is, yes, what I have to say. Venus releases from the square to Pluto. Thank you. And I think we can all acknowledge that and then think about what the solutions to stop the malefic behavior, to eradicate the malefic behavior instead of the benefic behavior. Because the core of the problem was that they called Supermensch, Übermensch, Nibelungen, to people that were into horrors, and even in the upbringing, they would eradicate any benefic behavior. Any benefic behavior had to be with extortion and with hurt and with treason. And the antidote is to eradicate the other type of behavior, but not being cruel like the people that were grown, inbred to survive only being pure evil, sozusagen. And pure evil is not showing kindness. It's about kindness only with reason. To keep the nervous system in shock and trauma that perpetuates that evil and thus being susceptible to mind control. But the antidote is to set boundaries not as punishment and support self-trust and support the behavior that is good without treason. It's not about punishing, it's about setting a boundary. And that our entire systems need to be about that. And this, I addressed the wealth topic before, and the wealth topic is simply sexual sovereignty. Meeting the non-erotic needs which means nourishment that is, okay, what people call motherly love and fatherly love, and that is not abusive, okay, and care that is not control manipulation, and boundary setting that is not gaslighting. So attempt to attack me when I say it. But putting that core of the issue in the light is so very important to coming up with the solutions that are actually respecting and supporting of self-trust, sovereignty, sexual sovereignty, a love that is actually loving, and from that, the children rights, women right, people right is a side effect of that.